It's vital for an insurance company to reduce manual processes. And a lot of that is because of money. I mean, let's be honest, it's about reducing costs to the carrier, reducing costs to the agent, and eventually the consumer. We have such a different market today than we did 10 years ago. Everybody has a smartphone, and they expect instant gratification, right? I mean, that's what this society is all about. And so when you're talking manual processes, you're talking about something that's stopping a consumer from understanding what's in their policy. You're talking about an agent being able to or unable to write business. You're talking about a carrier having to deal with the standard rather than the exception. So you want to be able to allow all three types of people to get through their business without having to stop, make a call to some other third party. The financial pressures for a carrier are different today than they were even 5 years ago. Our economic climate is so different, partly because there's a big trend in our industry to have leaner insurance policies. You can see pay-as-you-go type insurance policies, and so the consumer is becoming smarter. They don't want to pay for things that they don't need. You see this in other industries too. So I think it's really critical for an insurance carrier to retain the business and therefore do well for themselves financially, because ultimately the consumer wins financially too. If an insurance company does not automate, ultimately that results in less efficiency for them, which means higher costs for them. They need to be able to quickly allow agents to go from soup to nuts in that policy admin processing to be able to do something like a pay plan change for an insured very, very quickly. If an insured wants to go to a model where they pay through their bank account, you don't want an agent to have to call in and allow that. You want an agent to be able to do that real time. That's vital for them. So automation is the name of the game. The manual processes that an insurance company might have really does affect the bottom line. Ultimately, the more people that have to get involved from a carrier perspective, the higher cost you're talking about. The more resources that you have that have to get involved, again, the higher cost, the less efficiency you have for an agent. So an agent has to be able to issue new business, to process billing, to process claims quickly without involving the carrier. Because the more you involve a carrier, the higher cost that is for the carrier itself and ultimately the agent. Higher cost definitely has an impact on what gets passed to the consumer. And also, the carrier has a hard time retaining the agent for their business, because if there's less responsiveness from the carrier because of a longer turnaround time, the agent's going to be more likely to go somewhere else. And that's not what you want in that type of situation. So best-in-class companies are taking advantage of the technological advantages that the industry is able to offer. And they're able to allow the agents to do more business on their own, so they're not involving the carrier. And that really does result in better financials for the carrier, and ultimately that's passed on to the agent and then eventually the consumer.